The Open Meetings Act and the Meeting Code of Conduct posted on the far wall. Roll call has been taken. And so we're gonna go ahead and get into the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we get into the meeting itself, I do want to take a moment of silence in honor of Claude Beck. Claude passed away today, valuable member of the community for many years, and was a former council member. And so take a moment in honor of Claude. Thank you. All right, go ahead and open meeting. Need a motion and a second to approve or deny the consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve consent agenda.
Second.
Motion to approve the consent agenda was made by Chittenden and seconded by Lawton.
Yes.
Chittenden,
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes. All right. Move into open discussion from the public. Aaron Archer.
Thank you.
Hello, thank you for your time. I'm Aaron Archer, City of Utah Park Board Chairperson. I'm asking, mayor's not here, but for the mayor and council's assistance in resolving some apparent barriers to communication that exist between the city and me. These barriers seemingly came to a head at our most recent park board meeting during a group review of an incident where two park board members came together in private to request I resign my position as park board chair. That request for my resignation occurred on Friday, June 28th, following our regular park board meeting in Councilman Brett Lawton's garage. Park board member Justin Barney was also present. Both men expressed that they felt barriers existed between the city and me that were limiting the park board's functionality. Justin Barney expressed that my insistence on email communication was at the root of the issue. Brett expressed that I was not doing a proper job in my position because of a conflict I had with prior city administration regarding my property. Both men would later apologize for how the events that evening transpired. I felt the topic needed to be discussed with the park board, and it was added to the agenda for our regular meeting Friday, August 30th. In that discussion, I sought further understanding of the motivation for their request. Justin mentioned that he got advice from city officials to have a conversation with me, and I'd like to play a recording of that statement here, if you don't mind.
I just have a question on that. Yes, we had city officials that you should have a one-on-one conversation there, a one-on-one, yes, a one-on-one conversation.
I asked Justin which city officials gave him that advice. At that time, City Clerk Brandy Bolter stepped in to stop the conversation, which prompted me to ask her if she was aware of that meeting, and I'd like to play for you a recording of that response.
I think that's the Brandon, did you know about that? Exactly why.
Yes, because you know what, we suggested here at the office that they should reach out to you and have a, hey, get me off that.
No, ma'am, you cannot tell me not to record a public meeting.
This situation does not sit right with me. I reached out to City Administrator Bob Oliva on September 9th, asking that any issues preventing communication between us be resolved and addressed directly. I still have not gotten any response to that request. I stand before you, the council, seeking your assistance in resolving the situation before it devolves any further. I'm asking that the mayor and council's assistance for the mayor and council's assistance in understanding why city officials are utilizing a city council member and a park board member to pursue their interests. I'm asking for the mayor and council's assistance in getting answers to these three questions that I asked council member Brett Lawton. Regarding the meeting City Clerk Bolter and Barney mentioned, who else from the city office was aware of the suggestion for you to meet with me? What was the content of the conversations that would lead you to your decision to request my resignation? Why did the suggestion to meet with me result in a meeting that you later apologized for? I understand this is a difficult topic, and I hope we can resolve it in an appropriate way. I believe we can. Thank you.
I would like to respond to that if I could.
Please do.
I think things have gotten blown way out of proportion. Advice was sought from me on
if what would be the best way to get you to be not the president of the board anymore? And I said, why don't you do what I would do if I'm not happy with someone? I would go talk to them face to face about it instead of trying to do something like blindsided. And that's how I became involved in it. And it was to try to handle things without bringing it into the public, like man to man. Hey, Aaron, I don't think you're doing a good job. And this isn't me speaking. I'm just saying this in general. Would you like to just step down and maybe one of us could take it a little better or a little further? That was my suggestion. To just talk to you man to man about it, not to do anything other than that. As far as your requests for communications, we had several emails back and forth. And I didn't realize that there was still something hanging out there.
My request was, if there are issues that are preventing good communication between the park board and the city, those need to be addressed through proper channels as well and dealt with in a professional manner. My email inbox is always open.
And I don't think there is. So I mean, there's no response to that.
Okay. No response, and that was, you could not have responded.
You said if, and there is no if, so there's no response to an if.
Okay. I understand that Mayor Thompson is not here. I wish he were. I understand that as a group, it's a better thing to comprehend, and I don't know what all is known. But I do know that I don't think this needs to go forward under the current circumstances, and I'm asking for your help in resolving it.
I think we're kind of losing sight of what the park board's intention is, right? I mean, it's unfortunate this situation happened, but at the same time, the park board was formed to help the community, right? And there's been a lot of great examples of that. There's been some work at the train park, numerous projects that Ken and others have helped with. They volunteered to help out people in the community that aren't even associated with the parks, just being good neighbors, right? And so I think that's really the intent. And so I don't understand why there's been so much back and forth and why you are feeling personally attacked when perhaps maybe they feel you're standing in the way of getting some of these projects done. Do you feel that's a fair assessment of what's happened?
I don't, because I have not been provided with examples or any reference as to how I'm standing in the way. I'm asking to be communicated with, I'm asking to be kept up on projects, and for whatever reason, I'm not being communicated with. And so I don't feel like I have held anything up. And if I have, I asked somebody, bring me evidence that it was brought to my attention, and I could have had an opportunity to resolve it before the situation came at us. You understand? I mean, does that make sense?
It does.
Okay,
It
thank
does,
you.
but I think there were some examples brought to your attention in park board meetings, such as having a hard time getting the meetings posted, meeting notes, things like that, just general administration work that I think maybe the park board members, I don't want to speak for them, maybe they felt frustrated, right? And they're thinking, hey, if we're gonna get somebody who's gonna be more active on the park board and help move these projects forward, that's gonna make everybody's lives easier. And so that may be their motivation, I don't know. But again, I think we're losing sight of the park board. This shouldn't be a big to do, really. Help neighbors, do projects, the city's gonna support the park board, let's keep it moving, in my opinion.
I agree with your statement that that's what park board should be for, and I am very, very in favor of that.
Okay,
I understand the pontification about ideas about why it happened. Again, seek the answers from the people that were involved rather than hypotheticals, and that's what I'm.
but again, you
looking for
came to the council to get answers to those questions, but we weren't privy to those conversations, so I guess I'm not sure what you're looking for us to do as far as a resolution.
Yeah, and I guess what I would like is trying to get some answers to those questions about the content of why that was directed. I mean, my understanding that there was the meeting between city staff and Mr. Lawton and Mr. Barney. I just want more of that content, as I was the sole purpose of that meeting. I'm hoping to get a better understanding of how that played out.
I guess I'm not aware of any meeting that took place between this city and Mr. Barney and Brad. I'm not.
Okay.
Not saying it didn't happen, but I'm not aware of that.
That's, yeah.
But again,
First time hearing about it.
And I'm looking for some answers because I think the statements at least imply that there were or was a meeting.
do you feel you've done a good job as park board president?
I feel like I've done a very good job.
Okay.
For president. One example in prime was that prior to my instigation of this, we did not have the representatives that would show up each week. We did not have, what would have been Mr. Watten's position prior to them. We didn't have that kind of point of contact. So I really dug into what the rules and regulations were so that we could have the best board possible. And I'm doing everything I can. I'm producing minutes, I'm producing agendas. I'm now up to speed on everything because there was, and we have some people that discuss this, a really rough transition between administrations and a handoff between how it was done and when we were moving forward, which we all knew was gonna happen. I sought guidance in that and was supplied a link to the state's website rather than the answers to questions that were really. It was a, please provide me if you have a template for how I do this. Please provide me with some outlines because it's done so frequently. I need some help because it's my job. These are the rules we've agreed via email that these are the rules. Please help. And I got a link to the state legislator's website for the Open Meetings Act, and that was the end of the conversation. I'm trying to get over whatever precipice there is between us so that I can be a better park board chair, so that I can move us forward. We have 3 more years.
Okay, I can't help you with the motivation of why they maybe asked for your resignation. I wasn't the one who asked, but again, I laid out some examples just from what I saw in park board meetings. To me, the best way to get over it is just become active and assistant projects, lead projects as others have. I think the problem solves itself. I mean, it looks like you're asking for the content and all of these things from people who weren't involved. And so if you have questions for those individuals, talk to them.
Okay.
I guess my question is, does the problem stem from just you're saying lack of communication, is that from the city on how to conduct the meetings, or is it communication on basically what is required of the park board? And I don't know.
Trying to get you up to speed. So there's a very specific instance in the handoff where the roles that were delegated and voted on to the park board chair were up for debate. And ultimately, it was decided that the roles would be as they were printed and decided on and voted on, okay? So that put me in charge of creating agendas, that put me in charge of producing this information. I asked for help after that was decided and how to do it, and there was none provided, and I sought it multiple times and no response. There are other instances, and I'm not gonna drag up every single one of them, where I've reached out to the city for answers to questions and didn't get responses for days and weeks at a time unless I continued to ask again. And if you'd like, I would more than happily sit down with you and bring these all, but nobody wants to sit there and do that. It requires immense effort for me to get a response, and I will bring emails to the table that prove that. I'm doing everything I can. I want help in how to run this better.
I guess as far as, doing anything right now.
I'm glad to hear you say that. That's like, not to say, oh, you haven't, but. He speaks. I was waiting, thanks. Our park board meeting, we had that discussion, you used a sound clip or 2, right? But it was much longer than that. After that meeting, I understand you're wanting more answers, have more questions. After that meeting. Moving forward, do you think you and I can work together on? Moving the park board forward?
I'm willing to work with anybody.
No, it's great.
I want to work with anybody.
I'm not saying you wouldn't, I'm
Yeah,
asking,
no, I'm answering
and
your question.
you're asking for help, and I'd be happy to help, so.
And again, I've asked these questions and it's bringing it to this moment that gets a response. I will work with anybody that will work with me.
Okay.
For whatever reason. There's not a desire to work with me. Trying to figure that out, trying to work on that.
Right now, I guess
Yeah.
we just, I don't even.
Do
Here's
we
the more
have
information, I
agenda
guess.
templates now? I mean, are we?
No,
So is there a sample?
What he's doing is fine.
Okay.
but I mean, I had to brute force that after
I-
I requested.
So I think we're focusing on
is focusing on the logistics of this, that I'm begging for help on, that
Okay,
for whatever
so-
reason I'm not being communicated to.
Can we change the direction to moving forward then?
I don't know, I'm trying to push it forward.
Okay,
Okay, I think we're all there then. I mean, if you're focused on moving forward and leading the park board, and it's clear you're looking for guidance, we'll do our best to provide you what you need.
Okay.
I'm not exactly sure what that is, but I'd be happy to talk to you about it.
Okay.
But again, I would just say be involved. I mean, there's a number of people on the park board who are involved and are gonna continue to be, and support them in the best way you can. I think we're fine, but right, I mean, it's the park board. Help the community, that's the main goal, and we'll keep it moving forward. Is that fair?
And
Can I just say one more thing real quickly?
Yeah,
Aaron, you're the only one that doesn't come in here. All the other people on the park board are in here all the time, so we talk to them. So they're just in conversation, they're gonna hear and know things that maybe you don't. And it doesn't get passed on to you just because nobody wants to tell you. It's just conversations that happen here. For example, the other day when Lori was asking questions about pumpkins in the park, I didn't know anything about it. So I was like, hey, this is who's doing this project. So
And actually, those questions should have been directed to me because I'm the one in charge of it.
you were gone that day.
Okay, yeah.
You were gone that day. So I was trying to help somebody out. That's all the rest of that.
Between you guys, I don't know who does what, so I'm always
So,
going about.
that's the part board. I'm gonna ask the council, and I'm asking each one of you, and I'm asking it one time. Do you guys know of any existing issues that are preventing communication between city and me that need to be fixed?
I mean. If I was involved in the park board, I would say I feel a little uncomfortable having, cameras pointed at me and being recorded when the whole intent of the park board is to help the community and not. I'm not saying you're doing anything wrong, but I'm saying it would make me feel uncomfortable because you're having conversations about fixing signs, painting aspects of the park, right? And why are we recording these conversations and then using that in later conversation? It seems like there's almost like a I gotcha moment that you're looking for. Whereas everyone else has just been heads down working. And then after the fact, if you haven't been involved in these, then you're upset, but it's very entrepreneurial. You see something that he's done, ask the city for support, we'll provide it, and then move forward.
Right, and then use the next way as possible, that feels a bit accusatory, because everyone is entitled to record the meeting and use them.
You never said you weren't.
Never said I'm not. I'm gonna have an argument, sir. Just want to respond. Everyone's entitled to it. I've done it to literally every meeting so that I can do the best as a park board chair to understand what happened. A lot of conversations happen, I reference back to them, use them in my ability to move the next meeting forward, to have a cohesive meeting process. It's what I do, it's how the meeting works, and if there's an issue, please tell me and I will stop doing it, but I don't think that's an issue.
Okay. I guess I've said all I have on that one.
Absolutely.
If others would like to chime in, otherwise I'm ready to move forward.
I think I'm good for the moment.
No,
I
I
can't
can't really
really-
know of any issues that need to be resolved.
I can't relate to any issues right off the top of my head, I guess.
Aaron, I'd be happy to talk to you at a later time, but in the essence of keeping. this
Absolutely.
So.
no, I don't have any issues. So moving forward, I'll help in any way possible.
Thank you. Thank you all. I appreciate this. This was really good.
Justin,
Much as I'd like to respond right now, I think we'll have a conversation later. Just to move in the right direction and.
all right. So. Bob, I will pass the next one over to you, the 1 in 6 year highway and street improvement program.
We were presented that last month and made the changes that you guys requested. And if you just need to have a motion and pass the ordinance to comply with our getting our highway allocation money.
Looking for a motion and a second to approve or deny resolution 2024-7.
Anybody have any questions?
I mean, I think it's really covered, and none of these have to. We just have to have a plan.
Yeah, I mean, yes, we bumped Vine Street up to the 1 year instead of the 6 year, wasn't that the change?
Right.
Looks
And
good.
currently we have a bid on there to do Vine Street this meeting. So
Yeah, it looks good to me.
I'll make.
Do you need to have a public hearing as well? I jumped the gun on that one.
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, yeah, Yeah. but open public hearing, yes.
All right, we'll go ahead and open the public hearing at 7:20.
Or as the Fine Street section, do we have anything like right now as far as what that project's gonna entail, what that might be? I assume we're talking about.
It's all that's gonna be is a 2-inch mill and a 2-inch overlay starting 25 feet east of the railroad tracks, and it will tie into the concrete pavement at the intersection.
So is that going up the hill?
Yeah,
Yeah,
So what does that mean for those of us that have a driving way that leads to that? Because there's houses in the back of like mine.
there should be really no inconvenience. They'll mill it out. They should be able to mill all of it in one day and then pave one lane back one day and then one lane back the other day.
Yeah.
Should be a 3-day
I
deal.
gotta park down the street or something.
No, you shouldn't have to.
Go ahead and close the public hearing at 7:21.
I'll make the motion to approve resolution 2024-7.
Second half.
A motion to approve the resolution 2024-7 was made by Chittenden and seconded by Peterson. Chittenden,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Lawton.
yes,
Moving on to ordinance 806. This includes amending section 9-102 of the municipal code, to update building code requirements for 1 and 2 family dwellings, third and final reading. That's over to you.
So basically, I took the changes that we discussed from last month. Added some permitting exemptions. Also added language to define what a non-structural project is. We didn't discuss that, but based off of our conversations where you guys were leading, that seemed appropriate. Also discussed, pardon me, added in the discussion of Board of Appeals, that a alternate member from the public could be appointed by the mayor. And then we added the monolithic slab on grade foundations as being specifically allowed. So based off of everything that we've discussed prior to this and the 2 other readings, we're ready to go if this is what you guys want to see. That's it.
I think it looks good and it's not confusing, like you look at some of the other cities codes, it's just a lot of words. I feel like this is just to the point. And it leaves room for like.
lawyer, it's not lawyer paperwork. Yeah. No offense to lawyer.
Hi, Maureen.
Go ahead and open up public hearing on ordinance 806 at 7:23. Go ahead and close the public hearing at 7:24. Looking for a motion to approve or deny the final reading of ordinance 806.
I make a motion to approve ordinance 806.
Second that.
A motion to approve ordinance 806 was made by Lawton and seconded by Peterson. Peterson,
Yes.
Lawton,
Yes.
Chittenden.
Yes.
Other action items, looking at pay application number 3 for HD utilities and grading.
It's $156,768.02. It's on the very last page.
We just got it yesterday, I
Yeah.
think.
I'll make a motion to approve pay application number 3, HD utilities and grading for $156,768.02. Like that one.
Second.
A motion to approve pay application number 3 to HD Utilities and Grading in the amount of $156,768.02 was made by Chittenden and seconded by Lawton. Lawton,
Yes.
Chittenden,
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes.
You want me to take the tractor, or you want on that one?
However you want to do it, I can do it, yeah, too.
Go for it, Bob.
In the last month or so, I brought forward that I'd like to bid on, a utility tractor for the, water sewer department and parks. After doing quite a bit of research, and I've actually been researching this pretty much about 6 months after or 6 weeks after I got here, I realized kind of the way we were doing things, mowing, and some things that we were doing could be done a lot more efficiently. So I started doing research and, trying to figure out what would work the best. I looked at, basically 40 to 50 horse, utility tractors with loader and, with front end loader capability and mowing capability. That was the minimum thing I looked at. I inquired about Kubotas. My sister runs a Kubota dealership, and my brother-in-law and nephews, they work on them all the time. And I told them what I was looking for, and they directed me to go to John Deere because they didn't think the Kubota would be what we wanted. And then after researching the area, there's really only one Kubota dealership in our area. So after that, I decided to go with the John Deere model. And I got 2 bids. I got one from Acres and I got one from Platte Valley. It's a 3046 R compact tractor. It's a 46 horsepower tractor. The bid has the tractor listed itself on both of them, and then it has the attachments, has the front end loader and a grooming mower, 84-inch grooming mower. There's a backhoe attachment and a sickle bar attachment. And the reason those are all on there is because when we put this out for bid, usually when you're going to buy attachments and things, it's cheaper to get them when you buy the piece of equipment. Or John Deere, it's kind of different on that. It doesn't really make any difference. You get your government discount if you buy the attachment with the tractor, or if you buy it a year later. It really doesn't matter. The only thing is they give you $100 discount for each one that you buy. So it's very minimal. So the attachments that are on there, if there's some that there's a lot of question on where we use it or not, that necessarily wouldn't have to be purchased at this time. It could be discussed at a later date. The main one I would think that there would be some discussion on would be the 375 backhoe attachment, whether we would get enough use out of that or not for the $1,200 or $12,000 price tag. My feeling is we would over the long haul. John Deere's a very well made machine. This is not like buying like a riding mower. It's a utility tractor that should easily be able to do 5,000 to 10,000 hours on it. I would guess that we would put 400 to 500 a year on it, so it should be a 10-year tractor and be a very good 10-year tractor, if not longer. What we would be doing with this tractor is we mow a large chunk of UTAN. We mow a lot of road right away. We mow a lot of ITAN Park, Hayes, the soccer fields, the lagoons. At certain times, there's some it's put up for hay, but there's areas of it that are not put up for hay. And the advantage of mowing with this tractor with an 84-inch finish mower on it is you're running off of PTO power instead of hydraulic power and belts, and it's you're able to mow a lot faster, a lot more efficiently. The front end loader would be used probably almost on a daily basis. You can use it to haul mulch in the park to put around the trees. When you're using like our track loader that we have, anytime you do any turning on grass or any type of soil, it really scars or tears up the soil. These loaders are very easy on grass and turf and soil. They're right in the category of that what most golf courses have. So there's just numerous things that the front end loader can be used for. I know last year, right before I got here, there was a snowstorm and the city ended up having to rent or lease a little front end loader to help move snow and haul snow out. This loader has a 1,600-pound lift capability at its highest point with the bucket, so it would be very good for loading trucks, our trucks with snow and pushing snow. We did put on there on the accessories of a snow plow that could be put on the front of it for actually plowing snow. They do very well in snow. John Deere's made the same 60-inch snow blade or snow blower probably since I was in grade school. It's very good. It's very efficient. Those go right on there. And I've watched some videos of some guys blowing some very deep snow, like in New York State and stuff with them. And it's my understanding we get some drifts sometimes in the northwest part of town. So that could be something that could be thought of in the future, could be used on there. 4-in-1 buckets are available for it. It has the capability of doing that. And if a 4-in-1 bucket, I don't know if you guys know what that is, but it's a bucket that opens up like a clam, and you can use it to grab brush or do all kinds of things. So that's capable to do that. The backhoe is for me, when I got here, I've never really been at a place that I've felt so helpless, like when we have a water line break or something that we do not even have the capability to dig up a curb stop, a service line or anything, and sitting and waiting on, someone to come bail you out or help you is very frustrating. So I think with the guys that we have here now, have some experience with the backhoe and could easily dig up a service line or a curb stop. We also have several drainage structures that are plugged and need cleaned out. And my initial thought was maybe we needed a mini excavator for that, but then you're purchasing another piece of equipment. I think in the past, for any time we've needed anything that would require like a mini excavator, that's all been hired out. So that was the thought behind the mini or the backhoe attachment. There's a huge safety advantage going to it. It's going to be more stable to mow these ditches and right of way areas, and we have a lot of these little ditches that are in the park, and especially up in ITAN, that they can't get close enough with the zero turn mowers, and we've actually weed eat those areas, which takes a lot of time to weed eat those ditches. This would allow them to get a lot closer, if not mow all of that. you sit up a lot higher, so you have a lot more vision, like when you're pushing snow or loading. And the road speed of this tractors are roughly 20 miles an hour. So I mean, it can get around town. There's no really real reason to load it or put it on a trailer or take it out to the lagoons to mow. You know, it's going to get out there fairly quickly. Our skid loader that we bought and that was paid for in April is averaging 200 hours a year on it. So it's marginally used. It's still would still be good for quite a while yet. 4,000 or 5,000 hours on this cat. It's not a lot either. I would suspect that with mowing with it, pushing snow, using it as a loader, any of the other things that we came up to use with it, we would easily double that. For usage, 400 to 500 hours would be my guess a year on it. So for me, it's something that I took to the utilities guy, the Luke, and convinced him that, you know, it's something that I think we could get a lot of use out of. And in the summer, when it's 100 degrees, you can still be out mowing comfortably and not waiting until, you know, the sun goes down to go back out and start mowing on the zero turns. And all the reviews on these tractors say that the heating and air conditioning is phenomenal in the cabs. So there's a comfort part to that too, which leads to more production, hopefully.
So it does have a cab on it. The one I looked at, I guess it.
So are we getting rid of a mower if we go with this? I mean, this is going to take 75% of the town to do. Do we?
Can you mow the ball field with this?
I think you're still gonna need a zero turn of ball fields. You could do 70, I would say 70% of the mowing with it easily, but there's gonna be places that you're still gonna want to use the zero turn.
Is the mower under, or you pull it as
The one that the groom mower is one that fits on the 3-point, runs off the PTO. There is a 72-inch deck mower that you can put on, and they claim they mow as good as a zero turn. It runs off of the PTO as well. There's a mid PTO on it that it runs off of. The issues that you run with that is you have to drop that all the time. And then when you get into like the rougher areas, the ditch areas and stuff, it's going to be dragging and scalping a lot. It's meant more to basically mow your lawn with.
Do we have room to store this in the shed?
Sure. Yeah, there's no problem with storage.
I mean, I'd say. I've dug up backhoes on those attachments, and it is a pain because you're on, then you have to get off. Get to a different seat, you go a little bit. I mean.
It's
I'd rather-
by far not the handiest. I'll agree with that.
I mean, if you're just digging like one spot. It's fine, but it is such a pain to get on and on every move. And I just feel like if we did have a water main break. By the time we had it dug up, or anything break, by the time we had it dug up, we could have somebody else come out that's gonna fix it anyway. And that's just my personal opinion. I would be more interested in the snow blower attachment, I guess, and move the backhoe. I feel like that would probably be more beneficial. But
And I wouldn't bite you real hard on the backhoe either. It was just when we did put the bid in, we wanted to price like everything, this kind of know where we
It's
were
good to
at.
know what those costs, I mean, I'm glad that it's on there, but. It'd be interesting to see. How much more life we could get out of the zero turns if we're not bouncing around on the lagoon or on the lots, I mean, maybe. I don't know how often we go through zero turns, but every 2 years, maybe we're getting 4 years out of them. Where we're letting the tractor do the heavy hitting on some of the bigger lots, I guess.
For me, the biggest like what eye-opening thing for me was just how much we mowed. And how long it takes to mow, especially in that spring growing season. I mean, it's an everyday thing just to even just try to keep up with 2 zero turns. And when you're trying to mow big open fields like what's over in I-10, this would make short work of that. You could easily cut that in half.
That was a question too, then, so we would need extra summer staff then, if we have this and they're able to mow it a lot faster. Is there a need to bring in another mower, or can our two guys then handle it?
That's yet to be seen. I would think it would go a long ways towards helping that building.
I've talked to a few people today about it. Sounds like we used to have a tractor. I wasn't aware, but it was a much bigger one, from what I understand. That just didn't quite get used to that. You probably remember. They sold, I think they sold it before I got on.
2020 or so, somewhere in there.
They didn't have very many hours on it, but a bigger tractor is not as versatile as a garden tractor, I guess.
And could this go on the trailer? 'Cause I mean, even if it's only
Yes.
going 20 miles an hour, to me, that's still dangerous taking it out there at 20 miles an hour.
Yeah, it can still go on the trailer. That's, when I was looking for stuff, I was trying to find something that was small enough. Yet big enough, and this one's is about as close as you're gonna get. The stance of the tractor is not real wide. So if we did at some point do a 6-foot sidewalk to the school, it would easily be this one pass down and you're done. And like the sidewalks around.
Like going to the baseball field.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would we want to do anything where we entertain the school going in on it? I mean. Would they have use for it?
That's a good question, I guess. Maybe something they could bring it if they.
They do that with ours. We have an interlocal agreement with the skid loader. And yeah, it's possibly something they could do. Like if we were more of a construction type of a situation, track loader, skid loader, yeah, that's probably the way you go. But we are in the lawn business here. I mean, and we do a lot of lawn work, and anybody I ever meet, tell them where I work, they're like, oh, you guys have great parks and great baseball fields. And that's because we're dedicated to them to keep them open.
It's like the island out there on the highway. That could be mowed, all the ditches coming in. As far as the backhoe, I mean, how many water breaks are we dealing with here?
Not very
That's
many.
not a fair question, because you haven't.
Not very
been here
many.
Very long.
I think I asked Luke that when I first started, he said probably average 2 to 3.
That's what I was thinking.
Seems like when it happens, there's a couple right in a row, and then it
Yes.
doesn't happen for a while.
Yes.
Should be good for what?
Yeah, cause I think we only had one last winter. Over on Redwood last February.
And as far as budget goes.
We put it in the budget. When I got here, we kind of just completely stopped spending anything till we could figure out where we were. And then when we started doing this next year's budget, it was left in the year that we were on now's budget. For a purchase, so it's there. It's nothing we have to borrow money for. Our next year's budget, there's money in there to pay off the cruiser, to pay off the utility pickup, some other things. So we're in a really good position. And I think you had like a little bit of last year at the end, you were paying so much up front for these water projects and sewer projects that it depleted your funds and made it look like you were a little worse off than you were because of the reimbursement that we got back this year.
So the main selling point, I guess, is potentially instead of 2 part-time people, we maybe are down to 1 part-time person.
And maybe none. You know, we just have to see. I'd probably start off with 1 this first summer and just see how it goes.
And they would be on the 0 turns, then this would just be the city, the full-time employees that are on this,
No,
they would be doing that too.
yeah, I mean, it's not rocket science. It's
These things now, it's.
I could drive it.
You could drive it.
Are you volunteering?
We don't want to, we don't want to see me drive it, please.
I don't pay
think the selling point is we are taking on more money now that we're.
Oh, yeah.
Doing like the right of ways. Things like that, and we want to be patient.
Yeah.
And so it is.
As opposed to two guys spending how many hours of weed eaters in the ditch up on County Road 5, one pass with the sickle and you're done, so.
I mean, with weed eaters, you know.
And can we get close to the railroad so they can knock all that stuff down that picks up a couple feet?
Sickle bar mower should be able to knock a lot of that down now.
Two questions out here, I'm gonna jump to Justin, I saw your hand was raised
First,
first.
you know, if you know this about it on, like the warranty coverage, so I know working in the auto industry, you sell accessories at the time of sale of the vehicle. Typically, those accessories are covered for the same limited warranty you get with the car. You know if that's the same with these accessories. or not.
They all have individual warranties because they're actually made by, most of them by Frontier, which is, I think, a sister company or tied to John Deere. They're not actually John Deere specific.
I just figured you guys deciding what attachment to get is more beneficial. Look at something now, get it. It's gonna be covered at the same time. It's a Tracker.
Yeah. Aaron,
Yeah, I've got a lot of experience in the landscape industry, lawn care and heavy construction, using machines as disposable. Consider whether there's a option to rent attachments. Service is a huge part, and you've got that pretty well covered, but if there are attachments that say this would well, that we have ahead of time. Just agree. These, I consider that an overall decision of which equipment you purchase and see what. There is.
One thing I kind of left out is the attachment for the loader is a skid loader attachment. So like most of the stuff that we have that already fits on the skid loader, like our brooms and stuff, well, some of those attachments would work on here.
That's a good point though, about like running attachments, like the snow blower attachment, that might be something interesting, if we get a big storm again and everybody gets. Shut in, might be nice to have.
John specifically wouldn't necessarily invite a lot of cat guys that are out there doing lawn gardens or lot clearing, pre-prepped. It's gonna be tough to play the 12-hour on that, but they're less expensive to rent or get it than sit in our sheds.
So looking for a motion, one way or the other, sounds like there's a general consensus on. Not moving forward with the backhoe aspect of it, but it's up for you guys to decide.
I'll make a motion to approve. 2024 3046 R tractor for. How do you pronounce it? AKR? Acres. Minus the backhoe attachment, which would bring me total to 66,349.
Do we want to entertain seeing what the cost would be to lease it to see?
I'd be up for that, but I guess I should ask before I did that, how much of a pain with the new budget cycle happening would it be to move that over then to the next cycle, that money?
It's not, it's just something that you have to show that we didn't use it.
Okay. Yeah, sorry, Joanne, I should have asked that before.
Yeah,
did-
I
made
don't
the
know, I
motion.
mean, it's
I
like,
just feel like, especially a John Deere, if we buy it and we end up putting 100 hours on it, next year we sell it, we're gonna get out of it what we bought it for the most part. I mean,
We would get out of it more than we bought it for. If you look at the government discount that we're getting on that, it's a deep discount.
well, I was second. And then stuff.
A motion to approve the bid from Acres Equipment Solutions minus the backhoe in the amount of $66,349 was made by Lawton and seconded by Chittenden,
Yes.
Peterson,
yes.
Lawton.
Yes.
Thank you.
You had a good sales pitch, Bob, I was on the
Me too.
Taking a look at asphalt bids. We received 2 bids from Omni Engineering and Western Engineering for street improvements on the Highway 92 off ramp and Second Street, along with the Vine Street improvements. Bids are listed starting on page 34.
Before we get rolling too far into that, I wanna make a statement that Omni Engineering is a fellow company of my employer, so I will abstain from this vote to not be a conflict of interest. Yeah, CRH owns Lyman Ritchie and Omni, so just wanted to make that statement.
Marie, should I have him fill out that form as well?
Well, it's not a technical conflict.
Okay,
He would have to, he would have to.
to be
But, or profit.
profiting from
personally
it.
From $10,000
Okay.
or more in order for it to be a true conflict. But you.
I
you
would
always
prefer to
abstain.
abstain
Yeah.
though.
She asked about.
No, I
filling
asked
out-
about a form. There's a not con.
You have a conflict, you're supposed to fill out and have on file.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a couple of things, just, I think. Do all of you understand where the scope of the project is? I briefly talked about, the Vine Street. It's gonna start 25 feet east of the railroad tracks. And then go to the top of the hill, tie in with the concrete pavement, 2-inch middle, 2-inch overlay, if there's any patching that needs to be done. And then the other one would be the, westbound off ramp off of 92. And where it turns off and then back on Second Street to the highway and any patching. It's gonna square off at the radius there and any patching that would need to be done there and then pay back. All the stripings included traffic control, everything. We will be getting a lot of millings from this project. There's roughly 800 tons of asphalt, so that's gonna equal close to probably 650, 700 tons of millings. They're gonna stockpile them and in the baseball park and soccer field parking lot. And then we'll have all kinds of millings to do projects, alleys and parking lots and finish the pickleball court area. So there will be a lot of byproduct from that.
Moving tractor to move it with.
And we do have a tractor to move it around. Thank you.
Are these apples to apples? Cause I mean, one of them's significantly more expensive. I mean, are you giving?
I asked for 3 companies for bids. I asked pavers, they didn't get me one. They're the ones that did the work. I don't know if you've been through Waterloo lately, but they did some paving and stuff over there. They come highly recommended by Stephanie with JEO has been doing this, but I don't know if they couldn't fit it into their time or whatever. And then, I think what happened with the Western one is he just threw a number at it, hoping it would stick to the wall because, they're in the area and we kind of were led to believe we might do a little better with them since they were in the area, but, that bid's really high from Western. There's a lot of profit built in that. I feel like I did my own, like estimate on it. And I actually really feel like Omni's is pretty fair.
And one of them said that they could start relatively soon. That was.
Yeah, they both contractors said it might be towards November before they could get it done, but it's essentially a 5-day project. I mean, if you got good weather, you should be able to do the ramp in off of 92 in that one in 2 days and then this one in 3 days. So I mean, sometimes things don't go like planned, but it's basically a 5 working day project.
Kind of like Justin's question before about Vine. Will they still be able to use that then on the highway? Like, will it?
They'll just turn them in instead of using the rain,
Yeah.
Just.
Be coming right off the highway.
Yeah. It'd be just like that for a while, but.
I've
That
had
way
plenty of issues every time they dump out blade mill.
Okay.
Not that I matter who's using that, but
Yes.
Budget wise, that was kind of on track for what we.
Yeah.
Went for.
This part of this Actually, both parts. I'm waiting on an answer back from the state on if they're gonna kick in any money for down there, because part of that is their right of way. And now that I know that the Director of Transportation is from UTAN, I'm gonna use that avenue to maybe speed up that decision. And then the CRA, the TIF area, the blighted area, this street is 100% what we're doing in that area. And that is something that could possibly be picked up by the CRA if they wanted to do that. So we do have money in our budget, but it might make some more room in our budget if the CRA decided that's something that they wanted to pick up and pay for. And that part of that is roughly 100,000.
But even if they don't, like you said,
Yeah.
we're still.
Well, that's the lion's share of the bid. It's 100,000 of the 156.
Which that kind of, I know we're kind of get off track a little bit, but we do need to find someone else for the CRA so we can start moving stuff forward, but I'll talk to them when we do the other.
Did I not put, oh, they're not, never mind.
But my recommendation would be to go with Omni.
If we make the motion, now, you can still do the CRA and we can still.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the bid from Omni Engineering for a street overlay project for Vine Street, 7th Street. In the amount of $156,789.35.
Second that.
Motion to approve the bid from Omni Engineering in the amount of $156,789.35 for the street overlay project for Vine Street, 2nd Street, and the off-ramp was made by Chittenden and seconded by Peterson. Peterson,
Yes.
Chittenden,
Yes.
and Lawton.
Abstain.
You should have,
Ryan Chapman.
yes.
Board of Adjustments.
Ryan Chapman, sent in his application for the board of adjustments. Any questions on his application?
Want to clarify one thing for your guys' motion here. Matt's appointment is as an alternate member to the Board of Adjustment specific, and that needs to be specific. We're working on trying to get the Board of Adjustment active and fully appointed. In June, I sent a letter to all 5 who are listed as members of the Board of Adjustment, if they're still interested. I only got 2 responses, period. So Matt's thought process is we'll appoint the alternate. Whether or not the 3 that didn't respond show up is whatever, but at least we'll have 3. And that'll be a quorum if the Board of Adjustment needs anything whatsoever. Ryan is a really great candidate for this position. He's analytical, he's very into regulations, he's very familiar with stuff that's my wheelhouse. He's the, I think his title is executive director of the National Resource District for the lower platform. Bright guy, smart, a little out in Eastern BTJ, so.
I'll make a motion to approve Ryan Chapman as an alternate to the Board of Adjustments.
Second that.
Motion to approve Ryan Chapman as alternate for the Board of Adjustments was made by Chittenden and seconded by Peterson. Lawton,
Yes.
Chittenden,
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes.
Further discussion items did receive Gabriel Bolter's resignation from the CRA board. A motion is needed to accept the resignation.
I make a motion to accept the resignation of Gabriel from CRA board.
Second.
A motion to accept Gabriel Bolter's resignation from the CRA was made by Lawton and seconded by Chittenden. Chittenden,
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes.
Lawton.
Yes.
Moving on to supervisors reports.
Yeah, can I just go back to the CRA, recent resignation? We really need to get out and campaign to get somebody else on the board. If anybody knows of anyone, get it out there. We need to have another CRA meeting. I would like to have one in October. If we could get someone maybe appointed by I know it's kind of quick, but by the October 8th meeting, that would be fantastic. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't, but that way we can kind of start pushing some things along with the CRA with their budgets and expenditures and projects they want to work on.
Is that anybody in the ETJ?
You could, there's actually, yeah, they can be on the CRA board. ETJ can, I've checked on that.
Not to steal the spotlight there, but along that same point, we also have my empty seat on the park board still that we need to fill, so. If anybody has any recommendations or thoughts, I figured that'd be a good point to bring it up, so thank you.
We also have two people that their terms expire in January. I think it's Darren and JC off the CRA. I think at one time, both of them said they were gonna let it expire, but hopefully one or neither does, so we can keep active.
Okay. Moving on to supervisors reports. Like. Lori's, first Lori. Thank you for sharing. Any questions for Lori?
You ready for that street to get done yet?
Yes.
What's next month, baby rabbits?
Maybe.
Raccoons.
Oh, there you go.
Do you have any idea when? Everything's gonna be done.
I have an idea of when it's gonna be done, but yeah, we should be done with the paving. Middle of October. Completely. I would like to say quicker than that, but I know how this has been going.
Parking lot looks really nice. And then the sidewalk is gonna get done. That'll probably be one of the last things.
That'll be last, yeah. The progression of the project's gonna be to get the water lines services hooked up tomorrow. Get the remaining panels in the street and stuff that are north of you all finished, and then we'll push. There's actually some of that's tore up right by the library that'll get done before we do the sidewalk and all that stuff too.
Did they let you know, like they did before, or do you have?
Let me know what.
For the sidewalk.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll have a lot of warning on that.
Baby squirrels were ahead.
Baby squirrels were ahead.
My dog loved them.
She touched one. Took a little bit of,
I thought she was gonna get bit, but she didn't.
she did, she took one finger. But she was all proud of herself. So yeah, raccoons next month.
My red squirrel's back.
Okay, that's fine. We had 21 kids there for today for toddler time. It was like a daycare.
Sounds busy.
Don't say that too loud.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, it was a good time.
Good.
Thanks, Lori.
Yeah.
Moving on to Luke's report here.
So what do we do about number 2 under the sewer department?
Sounds like you just got back to say.
And what that goes back to is he was looking to discharge during the, what they call the clean period. And the ammonia levels were too high for that. That's not a huge problem. It would have just let us lower our ponds before we get to where they lower the standards of what we can release. Once we get there, we'll be fine. And this dry weather has helped out quite a bit. We have had problems with the pivot out there, and I think that's gonna be a discussion in the near future about what we do with that for when we get to situations like this. We're getting pretty full on the lagoons, so that pivot's gonna need some TLC.
And then are we gonna, we talked about this last year, but as far as posting to see if folks wanted to apply to be considered to be on the snow removal. And all of that. Because right now it's just kind of been the same ones and there's conflict of interest that looks when it's all relatives that are doing it. And so if they're the ones that sign up, that's fine, but I think it should be open for anybody to apply for it. I don't know if we'll get anybody.
I guess I'm not quite in the loop with what you're saying.
Got the stepson and a brother-in-law and.
No, with,
that are-
with the actual,
So to post it to say, hey, if anybody's interested in being on the list, if we need snowplow,
is that something we normally do?
well,
I don't know that we've ever had a list out.
But I mean, is that something that people that don't normally work for the city come in and push snow?
It's an insurance deal.
well, no, I'm saying it'd be then, they would do just how we're doing with Trevor and JC. They would be who the city would call as just to operate the city vehicles. Cause I think, didn't we check into it last year and.
They
somebody
will
with
be, they'll be
insurance was
covered.
fine?
I mean, if we bring someone in and they're.
In the city, yeah.
Yeah,
Matt would have the context here, so I think a lot of years if snow gets that bad, that will help out. I guess I'm not aware of other years other than last year with, we had seasonal winter help with JC and Trevor. I'm not
We've
sure.
had it for a couple of years,
Okay.
I mean, off and on, and I'm just saying it just. To keep everything looking above board. Post it to see if anybody else is interested, not saying they can't do it as well. But it kind of, I mean, it gives the illusion of, oh, hey, I got this buddy that can do it, I got this guy that can do it, and. Like other people are like, hey, did I have an opportunity, like I'd like to pick up a little extra cash, I'll drive it around.
I just didn't know anybody, that many people wanted to do that.
And I'm not saying they do, I'm just saying, I think that then helps with. If somebody comes back and says, hey, this is a conflict of interest, because it's 3 relatives doing it with the city, that's like, hey, we posted it. We gave anybody else an opportunity if they wanted to apply. If they had any experience doing it.
Yeah, I think that's something we.
I'm not against that. I mean, if that's the way things.
Like an on-call sheet, like, hey, you're on the list.
Yeah.
You didn't answer.
Right. But they'd have to, we'd have to make sure that we'd have to run their, driving record and stuff before we.
Might be a little bit of a delayed response, but I think it'd be worth doing. Cause most people that have trucks and plows that do clear snow, they're already, most of them, I believe,
Well, no,
have
they're
jobs
just-
lined up.
They're just driving the city.
Oh, driving the city.
Yeah, they're just
Oh.
coming to the city.
So you're saying more
So,
personnel
like
that
these-
Right, and so,
quit.
and so
Like
what
they're
I'm saying is,
contracted.
When
Okay.
we were telling people to take
Yeah,
the
makes
Sunday off last
Yeah.
year, and then people couldn't even get out of. Like,
Yeah,
like
they're-
the
we
alley and
contract
stuff,
out with
and they
them.
were snowed in for 3 or 4 days. and couldn't
Yeah,
even get
and
out.
he uses the city,
other
but we
property
pay him
in
under his
November.
business. We don't pay him.
And so that's where I'm
personally.
kind of like, well, then we can go
Yeah.
around the clock.
And like
if you have
Trevor, we
more
pay him
people,
through a business.
And you
It's-
have to advertise it in the
Luke's
fall,
son.
right, so we're prepared, and it's like, okay, we've got this call list.
They put my name down most of the time if it snows.
That
that
little
much, I
boy
won't
that was
go
in
for
here
it.
the other day,
So.
it's his son.
Yeah.
Like last year, I was
It was
going
good.
2 days, I thought.
But
Yeah, exactly.
They-
So, yeah.
Moving on to the police department report. Thanks for the report, Tim. Any questions for Tim?
Do you want to let them know what we did the other day?
Yeah, we applied for a grant called the Jack Lewis grant. To purchase a UTV, for the police department. And, got a response back from her, not for sure when it gets. Within, so the deadline was September 1st, we didn't get it until like the 10th of September, because we didn't know about it, but, it's a shit back. So, brand new one, brand new UTV that we could use, I mean, for the police department. Like 10 days and patrol work, and then the winter, I think it'd be a great tool for, like Highway 92 and the county roads when we have snow. The issues that get around, just pick them up. So we'll see. Pretty good deal. I'm not looking to go away mine, so. Good.
Good, fine. Thanks for
Yeah.
filling out the grant. Appreciate that. Moving on to Robert. Anything to add on your report? Otherwise, thank you for sharing. Bob, you want to wrap it up?
Yeah, the only thing we really haven't talked about, and that was on my report, is I kind of like to just get this out there a little bit, is we did have an issue with the railroad last week. And between Matt and I, we contacted several people, and we got a really good response from everyone that we contacted, as far as state representatives, state officials. I think which put pressure on BNSF. But the blocking Highway 92 during, rush hour, the commute, for what they did the other day was not good. And the children trying to get to school and trying to figure out how to get past a train. It was a bad situation. And I think we got enough attention to where that is not going to be happening. Matt and I both got calls back from Mr. Davis with BNSF, and said that they will not be doing that any longer in UTAN, that what the car switching and the shift changes and whatever they've been doing here, they're going to do them elsewhere.
Did they say why they thought it was a good idea to do it through here and block off the whole town?
I think it's because no one complained, and I believe another town complained, it was hearsay, and so they just moved it on up. We've kind of been asked to, and let me make sure I say this correctly, Matt would talk today,
And wasn't it something about like trains are much longer now than they used to be? So that's part of the problem when they're doing the switch.
maybe. Matt talked with Tim Schramm, he's the Nebraska Public Service Commission
Oh,
guy,
he's out of Sarpy County.
and
He's from the sister.
he thinks we need to do a town hall meeting, so it's documented, or he said it probably will happen again in a few months if they start doing it. And they would be glad to come out here. We just kind of need to host the town hall. So when Matt gets back off of vacation, I'm sure that's something that we will discuss and talk about if we want to do that.
The other thing somebody said, which this is like the chatter on social media, is that anytime it happens, everybody needs to call in, because if they keep getting flooded with calls. So it might be a good idea, like our page, to have that phone number down there, because then people will then otherwise have to stop and try to look at it on the highway. But maybe if then we can kind of post that and say, put this in your phones, and if you're sitting there waiting late to work, call it in.
The gentleman from the railroad, Mr. Davis, said if it's happening, we need to get like engine numbers and anything that would identify that, which I believe that to a point, and not because they have GPS on all those trains. They know what train it is.
They also have a website that's the Federal Railroad Administration, that if you go on there, you can report blockages like that, and that's the same, from my understanding, that's the same as like the number, like DOT.
Mhm.
So then they can report it, and go to them like that.
I'm just
So,
thinking like people having their phones and they're literally
yeah,
sitting there.
or
for
the, I
10,
think
20
the
minutes,
phone
like,
number's on the.
everybody starts calling.
Isn't it? I believe.
Yeah,
It
the
is.
phone numbers are
I
on.
think it'd be good to post it though, because like. Are you get like me, I'm like, am I gonna be able to read that?
Right,
number?
that
Yeah.
tiny writing that's
Yeah.
from 50 feet away,
Yeah.
They are trying to push legislation through the state of Nebraska is if you block a highway more than 10 minutes. It's a $250,000 fine per occurrence, so. That might get some attention. I don't know, the railroad has pretty deep pockets, but that might get some attention.
Because there were 2 accidents that morning, right, by Travis's and.
Thanks, Bob. Any other items that, we want to talk about ahead of the next meeting? Will be, next council meeting's on the 8th, and I believe we have a final budget meeting next Monday.
Next Monday, the 23rd, you know.
You just wanna see us like every week.
Yeah.
Mine was out on the paper.
7:30.
7:30.
And 7 o'clock on the 8th.
Yeah. For the council.
I will make one to adjourn.
Second,
A motion to adjourn at 8:16 was made by Chittenden and seconded by Lawton.
yes.
Chittenden,
Yes.
Peterson.
Yeah.